Let's go. And for those watching the highlights, we're here with more information for you. People are saying Haaland scored a goal. We're live here with Otinho almost falling asleep. Yeah, bringing you a lot of information here. Well, I spoke with a source connected to the board regarding Flamengo's signings, okay? And the trend regarding Paulo Dybala, okay? The trend is that it's very likely Flamengo will not move forward with signing Paulo Dybala. So that's the information for now, okay? Flamengo is not expected to move forward with the negotiation. To enter negotiations, as Boca already did by making an offer for Paulo Dybala, Flamengo is not expected to move forward. There's no smokescreen here, okay? This was before Flamengo's defeat, guys, okay? It was before Flamengo's defeat. This started 2 days before Flamengo's defeat, about 2 days ago, actually, 1 day before the defeat. So, guys, it was 3 days ago, right? 1 day before the defeat. Flamengo is not going to move forward, okay, with the signing of Paulo Dybala. At least that's the assessment the board made after medically evaluating the player. So the answer is the priority will really be a center forward. So Flamengo then evaluated Paulo Dybala's clinical situation, okay? And with this decision that Flamengo made, that the player really has a very bad clinical and medical history, some say Ayrton Lucas should be sold because he's underperforming. Ayrton did poorly in this game, and in key matches he often performs very badly. Very badly. But guys, Flamengo, I'll say it again, in football anything can happen. In football anything is possible. But the news is that Flamengo is unlikely to move forward with the signing of Paulo Dybala. Clinical issues, along with the analyses carried out by the club based on the athlete's recent injury history, weighed heavily in the decision. With that, the player should have a clear path to Boca Juniors, the club he supports. Flamengo even considered signing Dybala, and his technical quality is highly regarded within the club. However, Flamengo is unlikely to open negotiations for the Argentine at this time. The information was initially released by journalist Cesar Luis Merlo, and it is accurate. Our team found that the interest cooled off after consultations and clinical evaluations. Flamengo is still prioritizing the signing of a striker, but is also keeping other midfield options on its radar. Flamengo, as you know, is considering signing Luiz Henrique, but Flamengo also has to take other things into account. Look at Flamengo's situation. Flamengo would have to hope that Luiz Henrique doesn't do well in the cup, so his value doesn't go up, and with that, Brazil also doesn't win. So what happens? People are rooting for Luiz Henrique. If you're joining, hit like to show support. They want Luiz Henrique to succeed in the World Cup and hope Brazil becomes champions. Now, if Luiz Henrique doesn't do well, doesn't play, then his value doesn't go up. And then Flamengo might even be able to sign Luiz Henrique. But look, today the answer is that the priority is the striker. Flamengo wants a striker as a priority, and they're going to replace players who are leaving, like possibly Plata and Everton Cebolinha, who is going to leave. He won't renew his contract. So Flamengo will replace those departures and will sign a winger. But the priority, the main priority to spend a lot of money, to spend serious money, is the striker. And now I'm going to talk about this striker, but Flamengo has made this important decision not to move forward initially with Paulo Dybala. So the chance of not signing Paulo Dybala, Flazuero here, I don't think he heard the message, no. He was talking to me, but he must be doing his recordings. But that's it. That's it. Take care, brother. I think you didn't see in time that I was here. Next live, I'll put your answer here. About what you thought of this whole situation every time you come back from the FIFA international break? Well, let's go. Yeah, I'll take a good look, my friend. I'll take a good look here. So we have some other information to share with you here, which I'm going to have my team write down as well. And it's about Marcos Leonardo, okay? Flamengo has also considered signing Marcos Leonardo, and we have Flamengo Jose Boto Bapé, okay? They really like Marcos Leonardo, but in fact, this matches what we reported, that Leonardo Jardim doesn't want to be the one choosing which player to sign. So that the next coach who comes in doesn't end up inheriting these signings, because this shouldn't come from the coach. This was very well received internally. Marcos Leonardo's name is well regarded, but Flamengo already has other options, okay, guys? As good or even better, okay? As good or better than Marcos Leonardo. That's the information I got, that Flamengo already has players for the position who are as highly rated or better than Marcos Leonardo to sign in the middle of the year. So Flamengo prioritizes the striker position. Marcos Leonardo's name is not off the table. He's still being considered, but Flamengo already has some names identified that are considered as good or better than Marcos Leonardo. Honestly, I really like Marcos Leonardo. I know the management likes him too. Felipe, right? We know from the information we have that he didn't veto the signing, but he would prefer another profile more similar to Caio Jorge. But the situation is that Marcos Leonardo might be an interesting mid-year option. But Flamengo believes there are other options. So, as you know, Flamengo already has some strikers mapped out, including some considered better or of the same quality as Marcos Leonardo. I also asked about Caio Jorge. They said it's very difficult because of the negotiation needed with Cruzeiro, since it's not possible in the middle of the year to pay Caio Jorge's release clause. So Flamengo understands that it's a very difficult signing to make and will move on to those other names that Flamengo has already been evaluating in the market. So Flamengo is continuing this search for mid-year, and the priority at mid-year is signing a striker. And that's the situation with Luiz Henrique that I shared with you. Flamengo already understands that his price is very high, a very high value at this moment. And if he does well in the World Cup, the price will go up even more. So internally, it's understood that signing Luiz Henrique is very complicated, okay? These are the updates regarding the transfer market. We're always bringing everything to you here. So Flamengo, right? I'm not going to say they're giving up, but they're moving away from a possible signing of Paulo Dybala, as reported by Cesar Luis Merlo. Flamengo is distancing itself from signing Paulo Dybala. Flamengo is also moving away a bit from signing Marcos Leonardo. He's still on the list, but there are other names that are more interesting, okay? So Flamengo is trying to solve this striker issue for the middle of the year. And Flamengo also understands that a possible signing of Luiz Henrique is unlikely. It's unlikely. But the information is that Flamengo will look for a left back, okay? Flamengo will look for a left back. We'll talk about it in the next live, in the next video. Flamengo is looking for a left back. And wingers to make up for the departures that are imminent. And also the center forward, which is the position Flamengo decided they will spend more money on. That's it. I'm inviting you to subscribe, turn on notifications, and like the video. Also subscribe to Paparazzo Rubro Negro 2 during Paparazzo's moment. Before you go, nearly 1,000 people are here this Saturday morning. Pretty early, right? On Saturdays, people wake up around 11 or noon. Guys, if you can, leave a like before we finish. And remember that our sponsors are always in the pinned comment. Thank you. Renewing with Alexandro is foolish. Yeah, man, he's getting older, right? He's been injured a lot. I'll talk about this in the next live, okay? Caio Henrique, 28 years old, Monaco. They're asking for 15 million euros. Flamengo will have to go into the transfer market and will have to spend. There's no other way, all right? Thanks, guys. Thank you, all right? Thanks again for your support. We're in this together. Big hug. I'm out. Hugs.